Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Brisker.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
Now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Chevy Drives Chicago, the official truck partner of your Chicago Bears.
Welcome in, everybody, as the Bears get ready to meet the New York Giants. Jeff Joniak and Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer here on episode 184 of the Bears Etc. podcast. And we're brought to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com, the official truck of your Chicago Bears. Coming up, we visit with former Giants quarterback Phil Simms. We'll hear from quarterback Caleb Williams about the week that was and looking ahead. And this was something of an amazing game we just witnessed. Crazy game. I went to Caleb in the locker room and said, thanks for the memory. I told him about me saying that, I had it wrapped up. He goes, oh, you'd have been in trouble. I said, I know. Tom, said it straight for me. But do you remember this game? I'm going to tell you about it. Was week 13 of 2018 under Nagy for sure. Bears were down 7 to the Giants. I don't remember this game. 27-17. There was a minute 15 to go. Cody Parkey kicked a field goal, tightened it to 3. Onside kick recovery by the Bears with a minute 13. Daniel Brown, I believe he was a tight end. Bears then drove to the Giants 1 with 3 seconds to go, and Chase Daniel handed it off to Trey Burton. He tossed it back to Tariq Cohen. Cohen threw it to Anthony Miller with no time on the clock. Extra point was good. They go to overtime. Giants won the overtime toss, and then they came out with a 30-27 win. Chase Daniel, I think, fumbled 3 times, had a last-ditch deep ball. That was crazy, too, but not like last week. I'm still thinking about that game.
The Bears are a completely different type of believing team, and they're believing in themselves. In the last couple of years, those are games that the Bears would have lost. But because of the personalities that they're developing through the head coach, the confidence they're developing from the meeting rooms of the practice field, those games are winnable. And so I think it's a really exciting brand of football that's going to pay dividends not only from this past week into the future.
All right, let's take a look at the injury report. This was Wednesday. As this drops on Thursday, we'll have another couple practices to go. But Josh Blackwell, who left the game with a concussion, Kevin Byard, bank and ankle, hand and hamstring for TJ Edwards, a rest day for Grady Jarrett, DJ Moore, that hip and groin, Roma Dunze, that ankle heel, Dominique Robinson, all did not practice. Limited for Roshan Johnson, Cole Kmet, back on the field, Tom, Kyle Monungai, and DeAndre Swift, and a full return for Luther Burden. So that's the update there. The Giants have like 18 guys on their injury report, with some guys returning as well. And then the arrival of Joe Tyron Shoyika. He is the new Chicago Bear defensive lineman. Tampa Bay drafted him, was with Cleveland, didn't get a lot of snaps. I think 31 for the season. So he's got fresh leg coming in. And Ryan Poles did meet with the media, some of the media, earlier on Wednesday. And so they really like what he did coming out of college. They liked his length. They liked his athleticism. And they like what he did against the Bears in a game that you brought up against Tampa Bay. He had a couple of sacks and some pressures in that game against the Bears.
Yeah, I again, Ryan Poles brought up the fact that he has the length that they like, and I'm glad that it was a collaborative effort in, seeing what Dennis Allen, what Ben Johnson, what the defensive line coaches, in getting their input before he went out and made a move like this. And then you see the history behind him. I really liked him as a rookie. When he came out of college, he really fit their defensive system in Tampa Bay really well. And like he said, then you go to Cleveland and you get behind one of the best defensive ends in the history of the league, like Myles Garrett. So you're not fed very much playing time. And I'm glad that the Bears and Ryan Poles and his staff and this coaching staff looked outside the box, identified someone that could come in here and help them immediately, because he was on an active roster. He was playing on a daily basis. And you see how they got Gardner Johnson ready. I think it could be the same for Joe T.
Yeah, and he's a very good special teams player also. Comes in with 4 special teams tackles from Cleveland. First rookie to receive NFC Offensive Player of the Week since Jordan Howard in 2016. That would be your tight end, Colston Loveland, who caught the game winner from Caleb Williams and took the final 30 yards after the collaborative hit in the secondary, bounced off 2 guys, first rookie tight end in the NFL to win it since Jeremy Shockey in 2002. I don't know what you think about these types of awards. There's 3 from each conference each week, and there's Players of the Month, Rookies of the Month. All of these things are done throughout the course of the league. They're sponsored things. But a cool moment for a young man out of Michigan who had his biggest day as a pro.
Listen, and throughout the entirety of my career, we are the NFC Player of the Week one time, and that was our whole offensive line when we were playing the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. And that was just one time when a group of us won that award, and it was thrilling to me at that point. But for Colston, now take this into consideration. Cole Kmet gets early in the game. Now you can't go and activate a tight end off of that's in sweats on the sideline. The tight ends, the play callers, they got to take over for the rest of the game. So Colston Loveland went out there, and he could have won the award for his blocking as much as he did from the results of his pass catching and the yards attached to it. And that's what impresses me most about this young guy, is that he's a super willing, courageous, on the move, out of his stance, movable piece, blocking tight end. And I think that really sets up Ben Johnson in this offense well into the future.
Hey, Bears fans, Steinhoffels is a proud partner of the Chicago Bears. This Bears season, Steinhoffels is partnering with Special Spaces Illinois to create dream bedrooms for children battling cancer. For every false start caused by the Bears defense during a home game, Steinhoffels will donate $1,000 to Special Spaces Illinois. Shop in store and online at steinhoffels.com. Tom, Caleb Williams coming off a great feeling winning that game. He has been a part, as head coach Ben Johnson said earlier on Wednesday, 5 wins for the Bears. That doesn't mean it's been a smooth ride, but he's made major progress. And Caleb, as you'll hear right here, feels blessed that he's got the confidence from a head coach that has his back.
I have somebody that has my back, and we go through similar scrutiny and all of that. So being in similar positions, but also in that way. And then also just, you can feel his energy. You can feel his love for the game, us as players, and his want to win. And, I think those are a lot of similarities in my life and my daily life and my game. And so, having someone like that in your corner, it builds energy, every single day to get up and come in here, find ways to get better and, try and lead these guys to victory.
This coaching staff has harped on you a lot about ball location.
Yep.
As you go forward. What's the message you hear from them when that's brought up day after day after day?
Yeah, it's the same exact thing. It's runner's ball. Give your guys the best shot because we got some guys on this team that can take a 5-yard route, a 15-yard route, or something like a go ball for a touchdown and break tackles, whatever they have to do to create explosive plays for us, big plays for us, keep us ahead of the stakes. And so giving them the best chance possible and giving them a chance is something that I've been working on, something that we've been building. I think a lot of the misses per se that I've had is through the early part of the season would be just building this trust and rapport with these guys, and it's us being on the same page exactly where you're going to sit and the body language and all these different things. And so that's a part of playing QB back there and building this trust and rapport with these guys.
Caleb, Ben has talked about you for weeks now about we're going to be playing our best ball in December.
Yep.
What do you need to do in November to get there?
Yeah, you got to go 3-1 in this quarter.
What do you personally need to do?
Me personally, I got to keep growing. I got to keep being consistent for these guys day in and day out. And when it comes down to game day and things like that, just be the same guy I am in practice. And then from there, go out there and when it's time to go win ball games, go win them.
You guys have played some defenses that are near the bottom of the league in passing yards allowed. How do you get a feel for how this is going to translate when the quality of your opponent steps up?
Yeah. The NFL is the NFL. I've said this probably 2-3 weeks ago that, the guys out there are all ballers that are out there starting. And so it's there's no game necessarily where you're like, yeah, there's stats that y'all can go off. But when you go out there and you play versus those guys that, those guys are playing for their life. Those guys are playing for, their job and their team and, their. And so there's no slouch game. There's no any of that. We approach each game with the same mindset. And all these games build confidence. All the games that we've won, all the games that we've lost, just being able to find ways, especially in the losses, find ways to find solutions to the issues that kind of helped us to lose. And then, when we win, keeping those solutions and fine tuning them to keep going.
Hey, Ben talked about the front for this defense. Yeah. What's your scouting report on it? Burns is, I think, first in the NFL in sacks. But when you look at the front and especially that pass rush, what do you see from this Giants defense?
Yeah, they're I mean, as player to player as it gets, they're up there with the top of the league of athleticism, strength and speed, finesse moves, all these different things. So it's a great challenge for us up front to be able to go out here and do the things that we need to do. I think a part of it is me doing my job with having everybody on the same page when the ball needs to be snapped. And everybody firing off and everybody can move as one. But those guys on the other side, they're unbelievable talent, unbelievable players. They got great players on the back end also. But the strength of this team is probably up front, just with the draft capital and all these things that they've spent on that over the past couple of years.
How significant is it to be at the halfway point of the season, 9 more games to go, and to already have matched the win total from a year ago?
I wouldn't say it's. I think it's just a different year, different vibe. I think we've done a good job in some of those games that I would say that we last year that we didn't do a good job in, the close games, the tight games, and I think we've won those games. And now we need to get to the point where we're hitting all cylinders as a team, all 3 phases of the football, to be able to go out there and put up a lot of points and keep the other side with the least amount of points possible.
In a game like that against the Bengals, before that final drive, how do you keep your composure personally and keep calm, knowing, hey, we got to go down and score?
Yeah, I think that's I think first is, when they have a explosive offense like that and then they have the kind of start the game off how we did, you kind of get into that mindset of, what type of game it's going to be. And so, I think that was also a thing throughout the week is also understanding that, that's explosive offense over there. They got some guys that are all pro, top of the league. And so, being able to get in that mindset early on, but also, when the emotions start going and the roller coaster starts going, you try and be on, equal ends of the roller coaster where, you start flat and the end flat. You don't try to, be in the middle. And so, I think that's my mindset in those moments. And I also understand the guys are looking at me to be as poised, as calm as possible so we can come out with the victory in the end.
This is the second time this year you're facing a quarterback who you went to college with, right? Dart there in 21?
No. He left right before.
Oh, he left before
he left right before I got there. Yeah.
You know him at all?
We've communicated over the years every once in a while, but nothing like hanging out or anything. He's come back to LA and he obviously has friends that were my friends at USC. So he's been around. We've met each other and things like that. But we're not like friends or anything.
Do you appreciate the challenge that he has as being a rookie in a big market team?
Yeah.
Going through it the way you went through it last year.
Yeah. I think he's been doing a great job with it. I think he's been in some big markets. He's been in LA before and things like that. So I think he's used to it. I think he's doing a great job with it, and he's providing a spark for that team. And so kudos to him.
When your run game looks like it did last week, and the contributions that you had in that as well, like what did you take away from watching it back, and how do you think the way it looks Sunday, if it can carry forward, how can that hurt defense?
Yeah, I think we need to carry both my legs when it's needed, or when it shows up. Not trying to force that or anything like that, but when it shows up, take it. And then for the run game, let's keep that going. That's big for us as an offense to keep us on track and things like that. So I think that's something we need to obviously, and I think that's something we're going to keep focusing on to make sure that keeps going, because trying to be balanced throughout the whole year only helps us.
You remember in high school playing against Bosco when that guy was there?
Yeah.
What do you remember about those games?
I
think you guys won most of them.
Yeah, we won. I've actually talked trash to him about it. But no, it was a great game back then, and then they had us in one of the games, and it was time to come back and go win the game. And that's what happened. And then the next game that we played them a year later, we kind of it got ugly. So,
what role do you play in just helping your team kind of turn the page after an emotional win like the one you had on Sunday?
Yeah, we understand that we got we're 5-3, and we understand that what's in front of us and where we want to go. We really enjoy winning, and so we want to keep that going. So we got to find ways to be the same team each week, and find ways to get better from that. And I think with all that, you go out there and you play the game, you give your best shot.
It seems like from the outside, Ben's really good at helping you guys just kind of come back in on Monday, new week, like, let's go. Is that your understanding as well?
Yeah, I think we got some vets on this team also. That understand that's been through some big games and some long seasons and things like that. So I think the tandem of them, the vets, and then also Ben in that mindset of moving on to the next game next week. The 24-hour rule is real, and that's something I think we've done a good job with.
Do you understand what's in front of you? What is in front of you?
Everything we want.
Okay.
That's everything that we want, but we got to focus on this week, and then after we come out victorious this week and do everything right, we focus on next week and trying to be 1-0 that week. We do that again, and we keep that going. We keep that mindset going of trying to go 1-0 and coming out victorious each week. We'll be in the position we want to be at then.
He called it an emotional win. How you move past that is key, even if it's a loss. What is the impact of an emotional win like that on the road in dire circumstances?
Well, as Caleb puts it, they went 1-0. And now this week they need to go 1-0. And I like that focus, because you can have a win like that and you could be exhausted because of it, and it can linger in your mind about how it happened, but you almost have to flush it out of your system after that 24-hour grace period and then get on to the New York Giants. Because if Caleb Williams, the importance of his job, how he's continuing to digest all this information Ben is giving him on a weekly basis, if he has lingering thoughts in his mind about Cincinnati, it's a waste of time. He's got to be on to the New York Giants. And he talked about the talent that they have on that football team, how they got a lot of talent up front. That's no hiding those types of facts. If you read about them or if you've seen them, that's part of it. But again, I just emphasize that Caleb and his crew, they went 1-0 last week. Now it's their goal to go 1-0 again this week.
Handful of vets that have been through the grind and playoffs, and in the case of Joe Thuney, almost annually and winning Super Bowls. It's the first time in a while I've heard a player, and it was Caleb and some others in the locker room, saying that they have the vets that have been added to this team that make an impact on moving on from wins and losses. What are these veterans, do you think they're saying, that this is a topic that is brought to the attention by a young player?
Well,
what would you be saying? What would you be saying in a locker room?
If I was Joe Thuney and I was playing next to Theo Benedette, who was just a newly brought aboard starter, and you got to take him week in and week out and have the subtle changes that there are to the offense. You have to build his confidence up weekly. You got to make sure he understands all of his assignments and how they can subtly change within an instant. So that's part of Joe Thuney and what he means to this team on the field. From some of the examples that they have lived through in their past, how do you rebound from an emotional game like the Cincinnati game? How do you rebound from an emotional loss like the Baltimore Ravens? So there's a lot of different topics that these young, inexperienced guys can be asking these guys with experience. It's just, every single position, every single player, they have some advice that they can give with the experience.
Score big at your local Chevy dealer. The Chevy Silverado will take you through this season in style. Chevy Drive Chicago, official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Tom, you alluded to it. You did a breakdown of the blocking that's been done, certainly in this last game, not just by the guys up front, the 5 blocks of granite, but everybody getting involved. How impressed are you with how everybody's chipping in here to help the running game, which is now one of the best in the NFL, number 2 in rushing. There's like 21 categories. The Bears are top 10 now in the NFL in offense, a major, major shift from what we've seen around here in a long time.
When I look back at it, I was narrow-minded and naive because when Ben early in his time here, he brought up no block, no rock. I was only assuming blocking downfield. I was only assuming blocking for a receiver that caught a ball and maybe getting in the way of a defensive back and extending the yards after catch. Now it couldn't be farther from the truth. There's a couple blocks on the line of scrimmage, whether it's DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, all these receivers that are making impactful blocks against guys on the first and second level. Yeah, they're outsized, but they don't have any less courage. When you see guys like Kyle Monangai willing to step up to the line of scrimmage and take on a blitzer, you really admire that quality about them. So we always talk about the offensive line and their role and their importance in the blocking schemes of the success of the offense. But now we're getting a little bit a better look at the importance and the role of the wide receivers and their importance in the running game success. So I got to move my eyes when I'm thinking about the blockers of the wide receiver from the defensive backfield to the line of scrimmage.
It's an attitude and it's a culture.
And it's a requirement.
Love that.
That's the thing about it is, can you live up to the requirements that we're setting on your shoulders? And if they can, then you're going to see a 2-yard run go to a 10-yard run. And when you add Ozzie Trapillo in there and his movability, and then his movability makes the defense adjust into a more blockable position. So it factors to everybody.
How do you tell a cashier you're a Bears fan without telling them you're a Bears fan? With the Chicago Bears PNC Bank Visa Debit Card, which gives you exclusive discounts on Bears merchandise. Find out more at pnc.com/BearsCard. One last thing before we bring in Phil Simms. Tom, the impact of Kyle Monangai and in limited reps, but productive reps for Britton Brown, what does that do to the competitive component in the Bears running back room?
I think it vindicates a guy like Eric Bieniemy, because here's a guy that has his footprint, handprint, and his voice print on these running backs. And to look at the way that they've been developed into assets on this offense, that you're not afraid of putting any of them in the game. And that includes Roschon Johnson when he gets his opportunities. So I'm super encouraged because I've always been a big fan of Eric Bieniemy and for what he's been able to do to this running back position. And yeah, it's good that they had advance notice that DeAndre Swift wasn't going to play, because it gives you more time for that reality to set in instead of that instance of notification. Hey, he's hurt. Now you're carrying the load. So I admire Kyle Monangai's commitment to what was asked of him, but it just increases the competitiveness of the position, most importantly.
This podcast is brought to you by Miller Lite, the official beer partner of your Chicago Bears. Tastes like Miller time, Chicago. Go to MillerLite.com/BearsPod to find delivery options near you. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. We've been lucky to get some really big-name quarterbacks from the past to join us on these podcasts. The latest, Phil Simms, who does such a great job in his analyst work and has been in the past a part of network television, now working with his son on a podcast and still doing analyst work and charting plays about the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams in his performance in Cincinnati, and looking ahead with his take on his past as well with the New York Giants. A great interview, a fun interview with Phil Simms, a 2-time Super Bowl champion and Super Bowl MVP. 39 years ago, Phil Simms led the Giants to their first ever Super Bowl title. His second act, a very visible figure in the world of broadcast media, analyzing professional and college football, now for the Big Ten games on NBC's Peacock streaming service, formerly with CBS on the number one crew with Jim Nantz. His son, Chris Simms, pairs with Mike Florio on Pro Football Talk. His other son, Matt, you're working on a podcast with, if I'm not mistaken, called Simms Complete. He is Phil Simms, the former number 7 pick overall out of Morehead State by the New York Giants. Thanks for joining us. How you feeling?
Hey, thank you. It was good being here. After that introduction, I figured I might as well leave.
I could keep going, too. We had Ken Anderson on last week, and he's from Batavia here in the suburbs, and that was a very long introduction as well.
Oh, Ken, man. Compact motion, didn't miss anything. He had Bill Walsh who put in help. Well, the offense was already put in, I think, when he got there. But great career. And, of course, Boomer Esiason, all he does is talk about, Ken Anderson should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And you know why? I kind of agree. He did something different in the NFL. When you do something different and you do it really well, you should get some notoriety for it.
Phil, Jeff read all those things about your accomplishments in your career. So I was thinking about it just because I'm basically from the same year. And I think about the 85 Bears. I think of Reggie White. I think of Dexter Manley and Charles Mann and that whole group of guys. Harvey Martin, Too Tall Jones, Randy White. But are you glad you never had to play against Lawrence Taylor?
Hell, what do you mean? Those guys, who do you think those guys were?
That's what I took. I take all that into account.
Yeah.
Being an ex-offensive lineman, I played against all those guys. But I think about you and your division and how many times you played against them. And when you had a chance to live your football life with Lawrence Taylor, to me, Walter Payton's the best guy I've ever been around, the best teammate I've ever had. And so I kind of consider the same with Lawrence, and I had a chance to play against him.
Yeah. No, I know. Lawrence Taylor, I would consider us good friends. We talked a lot each week during practice, whatever. And we'd walk out to practice together all the time, and he would stop and look at me. He goes, man, if I could just hit you one time. And I go, yeah, but you can't, big boy. So you can't. Because if you do, your ass, even you might be in trouble at certain periods of my career. But all those names you said, man, too tall. He knocked a pass 20 yards behind me after he deflected one once. And Jim Jeffcoat, for some reason, was literally 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Caught it, ran for a touchdown. Randy White hit me my rookie year right here. Split my chin open. Blood went everywhere. And I was like, oh, and he goes, shut up, you big baby. So that's, and I cleaned it up. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Thank you for that.
But yeah, Richard Dent. I mean, there was so many, every week was just, somebody was a pain in your rear. A lot of good pass rushers back then.
So when all those names I've mentioned and the whole crew from Washington and everything, how come there hasn't been a repeat division winner in your division for 21 years?
I have no idea. When I hear that number, I go, gosh, is that really true? We never did it, I guess, either. I don't even know if we did. The year we won the Super Bowls, we did not come back with great season after that. So, but I think it just speaks for back in a lot of my career, the NFC, and especially the division we were in, the Philadelphia Eagles were torture. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys had 8 good defensive linemen. So it was hard to repeat. And so, the other team, San Francisco, I felt like they were in our division too, because we played them every damn year.
And you didn't play the Bears that much, as I look back. I kept thinking maybe this is not right, but I think 3 times.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
85, 87, first game of the year. And then 92, we played on Monday Night Football down there, if I remember right. But yeah, they were all torture, And then Richard Dent hated me. So he always seemed to get a personal foul, hitting me late. And he didn't care. He hit me once in the game, that night game in 1992, I think it was. And he was laying on top of me for some reason. Just before he hit me, I kind of threw it like as quick as I could to the corner of the end zone, and it was a touchdown. And he's laying on top of me, and I said, "You having a good time, big guy?" He goes, "Man, I'm having a great time."
Did you get a crank call one time before?
Like that.
Did you get a crank call before a Bears game?
Yeah, before the playoff game.
Tell me that story.
In my room. So yeah, that's okay. I'm a slow learner. So after about the 3rd time, I actually took the phone off the hook and put a pillow on it. So.
But the story that I read, and who knows with the way AI sends things out these days, but the caller said your dad just passed away. Was that
You're
right?
Yes,
yeah.
That's what it was.
That's gonna make you pause.
Oh, I started calling everybody I knew, my mom, my brothers, my sisters. I couldn't get anybody. Finally, one answered. I don't know which brother it was. And he goes, well, no, I'm here in the hotel. I saw Dad today. And I go, well, check, find out. Somebody told me whatever. So I found out, but it took a while.
That's mean. That's mean, Tommy. That's mean.
Yeah, it is. Right. I think about Parcells and Ditka. Could they fit in today's NFL? Could they coach in today's NFL? Are their personalities too tough?
I love this question. I don't know Mike Ditka well enough and wasn't around him long enough to know, but I got the feeling of who he really is just by watching the team, seeing some of his talks, watching with the press. So I think he could. With Bill Parcells, I have no doubt he would coach now and be as good as he ever was. Of course, if he still had the injury or the stamina, I guess he's in his 80s. But yeah, his way, when you think about it, I always say this to people. Yeah, he was rough. We practiced every day. And I really mean this, for 8 years, it was the most important thing of our life that day. And man, the pressure was unrelenting. He knew how to, when he needed to talk to you in a certain way to kind of get you off the cliff, help you play better on the field, all those things. He could do it. And but overall, he was extremely tough. It was always, we could win the damn game. Okay, we beat the 49ers 49-3 in a playoff game. The next morning, we're sitting there. I'm figuring he'll come in, say some good stuff. We'll, go on. He comes in, throws his pad down. He goes, offensive line, almost got my quarterback killed. Rah, 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 rah. And then he rips us. And then he walks out. And you go, that was Bill. Well, he was not going to let us get satisfied with anything ever.
To give you a comparative story, the first game I ever started for Mike Ditka was against the Washington Redskins, and I was playing against Dave Butts.
Right.
We were winning by 40 points. In the fourth quarter, I get a holding call, and he pulls me.
Oh, wow. That's pretty rough.
Pulls me out of the game, brings me to the sideline, just berates me on the sideline like I had no idea, keeps me out for 2 plays, and puts me back in.
You know what? It was a quick learning lesson, It's Bill didn't have that book they put out on how to treat the quarterback and what to do. People would walk the sidelines and he would just, he would bench them and just say, even Lawrence Taylor, somebody better get their head out of their rear end. Rah, rah, rah. And Lawrence is walking by him and go, wow, good Lawrence. Bill's an equal opportunity yell guy. He took it out. And he would say things to me. One time I was playing so bad, a game against Kansas City in 1984. We're down 13 points. I walk off the field. I just threw my 3rd interception. And he goes, Sims, come here. And, I think I'm going, he's just going to 4-letter word me to death. He goes, Ron Earhart, the offensive coordinator upstairs, we were just talking. Are you watching the same game we're watching? and I go just like this. I go, that's a good one. And I just kept walking. And, the great thing was he did it with 6 minutes to go. We got the ball 2 times and drove 80 and 77 yards to win the game. So he goes, yeah, I had to tell him who to throw it to. But, there's so many stories I could say about Bill. He was a great leader of men. He really had a great pulse for the players, what to do. And when we played teams that were inferior to us in periods, he would be brutal that week because he just knows emotionally, I'm going to get up to play the Bears and the Cowboys and the 49ers, but we're playing the Arizona Cardinals. He would just be a monster during the week. And it's, to make sure there was no letdown.
1993 NFL Man of the Year, a prestigious honor, now known as the Walter Payton Award. 2 times a Pro Bowler, member of the Giants Ring of Honor. His number 11 retired there, 2-time Super Bowl champion. And he just had the stadium where he starred in college at Morehead State in Kentucky named after him, I think last month, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Cool,
3 weeks.
Cool honor.
Yeah, it was really great. Those Pro Bowls, I regret this. I played in one, and, I had a great time. I actually was the MVP. It was back when they could really hit the quarterback, too. So I was getting rid of that ball so fast, it was unbelievable. But I think I was offered a chance because somebody pulled out like 3 or 4 times, and I always turned it down. Man, I regret that because, 4 or 5 or 6 Pro Bowls, people actually believe in that stuff. So
yeah. You have to be one of the thickest skinned people on the planet because here you get drafted and in New York, as every draft pick almost gets booed, the selection was booed.
Yeah.
They had aspirations of someone else, I'm sure. And then to play for that coach and the constant threat of getting pulled, I think you were benched a couple times. And then just in that market to play your whole career. And if sports talk radio had blossomed, and it did around that time, if a coach is yelling at you, that gives license for every fan and media person to yell at you. How did you handle all that? And at some point, did you have quiet moments to yourself, shaking your head? What have I gotten into here?
No. Well, first off, I never got pulled. When I was healthy, I played and all that, which is a good thing, So I've talked to a few quarterbacks that are hurt and over the years, and some maybe this year, and I just go, you want your team to win, but you don't want the backup to play very well.
Yeah.
It's good. But But, you know, people say that to me all the time. You hung in there. I go, what do you mean? I dreamed about it my whole damn life. You think I'm going to let an injury or something that's whatever, stop me from doing what I want to do? And probably the only good decision I made playing when it was after 93 was over, we had a good year, went to the playoffs. We were expected to be horrendously bad. It was Dan Reeves' first year there. They let me go, and really just because of salary cap. That was it. And I probably would have tried to play. I wanted to play 2 more years. And I look back and go, man, it's a good thing they let me go, because I would just have more aches and pains if I'd have played 2 more years. So,
you know, Phil, when you take the salary ramifications out of the thinking about it and the modern day reality for a young quarterback, are you a play right away guy, or are you have a couple of years to get acclimated into your system, into the NFL life, and then play? Because as you look at Caleb Williams and first pick in the draft, or you look at what the Packers have done with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, as a quarterback, what's your take on that?
Man, I'm the opposite of the Green Bay method. I mean, if you've got a quarterback that's that good and great, okay, you can kind of finagle that and do it. But Caleb Williams, I wanted him to play the very first snap in the first game of his career. And that's the way you do it. You're not going to, the more throws he gets and the more time he gets on the field, the better he is going to get. And we're seeing some signs of that about him. I watched every one of his games, and I wrote a lot of notes about him. What's good, what's bad. There's easy reads. You miss the easy read. Throw it to the guy. It's open quick. Lots of things. But if we redrafted the quarterbacks in that draft again, I said it even last year when the year was over, I still would take Caleb Williams. Big, strong, great arm, very mobile. I mean, man, and hasn't gotten hurt. There's a lot of things there, and I think he's going to continue to get better. And I even saw some moments in the game this past week where I went, wow, that was a pass. See, there's a difference in the NFL, or you want both. You want a guy that can just turn the heat up, and you want a guy that's a passer too that can react. And that means throwing it a little softer, using your body more, and making the ball go up and down the way you want it to go. And Caleb, I think one of his little things he's got to get over, man, he's like the golfer who can hit 350 yards. He wants to hit at 350. But the problem is when it goes off line, it goes way off line, and that's trouble. So I think his future is bright. The Bears picked the right guy.